Hey everyone, happy Tuesday night. I hope that you are having a fantastic evening. My name is Cassandra and I am one of the admins of this awesome group. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. If you are watching right now, there's a chance that you're watching the replay, which is awesome. Thank you so much. If you don't see this little red box in the top, that means I'm not live, but I can still see your questions and answer them. And see any comments that you guys have. So in the comments as you're hopping in, go ahead and let me know where you're coming from, so what state you teach in, and then how many years you've been teaching third grade. We were doing this Facebook Live series this week to kind of talk to our teachers who are new to third. Didn't totally freeze it. Okay, sorry guys, I'm back. So we were doing this Facebook Live series this week to now it flipped. Sorry guys. Technical difficulties, to talk to our teachers who have possibly never taught third grade before or are moving to third grade for the first time, even if you've taught before. So as you're hopping in, if you want to let me know where you are coming from and what or how many years you've taught third grade. I can't see any comments, so if you are commenting and I am not responding, I am so sorry. I am going to try a trick real fast and see if I can see comments. Okay, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but we'll see. And if it doesn't work, then I will go back and respond to all your comments afterwards. I'm going to try and pull it up on my iPad real fast and see if I can see your comments that way, in case you are commenting. That way you don't think I'm ignoring you. So, tonight I was going to come to you guys, as I'm trying to get this to load, and talk to you guys about organization. Full disclaimer, this area behind me is not organized because this is my home and this is summer and I have two kids and life is crazy right now. So my office at home is a hot mess, but I have lots of things and routines at school to keep my school life organized, and I want to share those with you guys tonight. Oh, Kaylee, thanks. I see your comment now. About to wrap up my 6th year of teaching. Awesome, Kaylee. Thanks so much for hopping in. You're just wrapping up, so when are you, or when do you report back? I am moving to a new school this year, so I have to report back July 30th. So for some of you, it might seem kind of strange that we're talking about these things so early, but for other of us, we only have a couple weeks left of summer, and I have 2 week-long trips planned in July, so I'm gone for half of July too. So I'm trying to get things done actually before I even go on my first trip in July, so that way I can enjoy those 2 weeks of summer in between my trips at home with my kids, and I haven't been in my classroom yet this summer. So, okay, the first thing I saw that you guys commented on and things you needed help with organizing was your desk. So I have a couple pieces of advice for you for your desk. I try not to put anything on my desk that I can't put away that day. So there are many different ways that you can control that and where you can store your things, so that way you have the option to not have things on your desk that don't belong on your desk. One thing that I like having on my desk, I have one at home and I have one at school, is this kind of like pencil container. This one I got at the at the Dollar Tree for $1, right? Because they're only $1, and they come in a variety of colors. My home office, I have lots of pink accents, and my old theme was bright neon colors, so it worked really well at school, and then I brought it home. I'm switching next year, so I have to go buy a bunch of new organizational stuff, which is why I have some stuff at home to show you guys. But it's a great way to corral your pens. A lot of people use Ray Dunn too, which is another great way. This obviously is much cheaper than Ray Dunn. This was $1. And then it keeps all my pens in one place, and I know that those are the pens I use for grading. My scissors are in there, my pencil, or not my pencil, my stapler remover is always in there. I try not to keep a bunch of stuff inside of my desk because I know it becomes a pit and I never look in there. So in one drawer I have like my purse and some snacks. I usually have a stick of deodorant in there because, let's be real, those nights that you have to stay late. And then I do keep random extra supplies like staples and Post-it notes, because I can never have enough Post-it notes laying around here, and like this, Post-it notes. So staples, Post-it notes and tape, because I use a lot of tape and staples, especially when I'm doing STEM stuff. So I like to have those in my desk because I not only use them at my desk, but also so then my students can use them when we're doing STEM projects, and I know exactly where they are and don't have to go digging through a science cupboard or a different cupboard that they might be in. And then when I need them at my desk, they're also right there. So one way you can keep papers off your desk, one thing I like to do to collect student work, I don't like having one bucket where they dump everything into, because then you have to cycle through and filter through and sort the papers. Instead, I buy these Sterilite bins that look like this. I have these ones that I really, really like because, now mind you, the stuff inside of it isn't what I normally keep in it, but moving classrooms or moving schools. So they're really deep, and then I label them with different drawer tags that you can get on TBT. You can totally make them yourself too to match your decor, and I label them by subject. So anything for math that we're going to do, I have them put in the math bin, or anything for science or social studies, reading, those kinds of things. So then when I want to grade math papers, I can go through and quickly put them in number order, and then make sure that they're all there, first of all, and then grade them in succession, so that way as I'm going through and grading them, I can grade all the math papers at the same time, or all the reading papers, because if they're all sorted and all over the place, then it takes me longer to sort them and put them in the different piles, where this way I train the kids from day one on how to find which drawer it's going to go in, so that way they know to put their paper in there. And then I will also, while they're doing a math warm-up, I grab last night's math homework and I'll quickly scan through and put them in number order, because usually within the first week, I know my kids' numbers, so especially if they forget to write their number on their paper, you can quickly figure out which kid is missing. So that's another thing I do. I number all my kids so they know what number they are, they know what number to write on their paper, and then they also line up in that number order in the beginning of the year, so that way I make sure I have all the kids. As you're learning their names and figuring out who is who, it's a great way to get to know them a little better, and you can number them in any way you want to, by first name, by last name, any random order you want to put them in. That way the A kid isn't always first. You could also go backwards and have the A kid be last. Different ways you could number your kids, which is also an organizational tool. But then I use those numbers all year. So during a math warm-up, I'll pull all of last night's math homework, if you give math homework nightly, and go through and be like, okay, Billy, did you forget to turn in your homework? And then he quickly pulls it out or says, no, I forgot because of X, Y, and Z. And then that way you figure out who's missing your homework without having to take a long time to figure out whose paper you're missing. So I love those drawers for those kinds of things, so that way then the kids know exactly where to turn in your homework, and depending on how many subjects you have nightly assignments for, or how much space you have as well, you may not want a bunch of these. I had 2 sets of these drawers, so I had 6 different drawers, depending on the subjects. I'd have to really think about what subjects I had: math, reading, science. I think I put science and social studies together. English. I teach religion at my school, so I had a religion tab, and then drawer, and then I think I had another tab where they would put like notes to me or permission slips or things that had to go to the office, that sort of thing, because then it kept it off my desk, and I didn't have to worry about it and it getting lost in the shuffle of things and them seeing something on my desk that they shouldn't have, because my students never ever really went to my desk to give me anything or to put anything on my desk for me. Another great thing to use these kinds of drawers for organization for you, is for your copies. So I had these, and I also had those rolling carts that you can get at Michael's, the really tall ones, or I also had the longer ones. I can drop a picture in the comments later, because I don't have one in my house I don't have one in my house to show you. But then I had each day had its own drawer, so that way I could put all my copies in there, because I like to copy a unit at a time, not just a week at a time. So depending on how things flex, or if I get ahead of schedule, then I have my copies that I need for that unit, rather than having to go scramble and find the copies because I'd only copied for the week. So that's another thing you could do, is have a set of drawers for each day of the week, and then either have an extra drawer that you could use for next week's copies if you copy ahead or copy by subject, and then that way you have all of your Monday papers together. Another great organizational tool that a teacher who taught next to me did, she had one of those milk crates and had the hanging files, and she had each day of the week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then in the back she had extras or the following week, and then you could put them in that way in case you don't like the drawers, or if you have things that are bigger than the drawers. Like for instance, I would put our read alouds, or if we had big picture books that wouldn't have fit in a drawer, then the hanging file system works really well too, because you can have all of your read alouds picked and they can all be in that system as well. So that is another way you can use the Sterilite drawers. I bought mine at Walmart because they were cheaper. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon or at Target or different stores like that. So moving along with Sterilites, this is something I did as well. I have 2 sets of these. So these are the 5 drawer systems, and they're mini, so they're really small, but they fit colored pencils. So I had community supplies last year, and I had all my kids put their stuff in, because it was a great reason for them to get out of their seat and get something. So it gave them a brain break as we were transitioning from subject to subject. I knew they were going to need these things, obviously, before the lesson started. So as I was telling them things to get, like their science book and their science notebook, and then I could tell them what colored pencils to go get, and this gave them the opportunity to get up, get out of their seat. They weren't digging through their desk. They weren't digging through a pit in their desk, right? They were able to get up out of their seat and go find things. And then I knew when somebody didn't have a black, I knew that we had more than 20 black colored pencils in there, so everybody would have one. Johnny wouldn't run up to you and say, I don't have one, and then you're scrambling trying to find one. So this is what I did to help community supplies, and then the kids would tell me when pencils were running low, or I also had a bucket that they could put them in, so then I could sharpen them at a later time and then just refill them back into our community supplies. I also did this with scissors and with glue sticks. I never lost my scissors. My scissors always came back to me, and we always had glue sticks until the end of the year. Obviously it's going to depend on your class and on your community, but it worked for us. And I just had different buckets in this communal area that they knew that they had to get up and go to this area to get them, and once again it gave them an awesome brain break and a way to get up and get out of their seats and do that. So it is totally up to you and your management style and how you like their desks. I don't like them digging in their desk looking for things. I don't mind them getting up and going to get something, because I know I can't just sit here for 8 hours either, so it gives them an opportunity to get up and move. Let's see. Okay, another thing that I use pretty frequently are book boxes. And I had different book boxes in my classroom for different things. These are the ones from the Target Dollar Spot from a few years ago. They were $3 each, and they held up really, really well. I used them for many different things inside my classroom. Currently, they are stored in my house with seasonal read-alouds, because I read books to my children at home as well. Excuse me. So that's one thing you could do with them. You could put your picture books in them or your different seasonal read-alouds. If you wanted to have 6 of these in your teacher area, you could also use these for your days of the week, and you could put a label on the front that said what day it was, so that way you had all your copies and stuff together, so that way you could find what you were looking for. I also used these for interactive notebooks. So for each subject, I would have a set or a color to match your theme, or just match whatever you want, or they don't even have to match. And then I had like student 1 through 6 or 1 through 5, depending on how much space you have in your classroom, 1, and 2, how many interactive notebooks you're going to have. You can probably fit about, I wouldn't go more than 10 of the 70-page spiral notebooks in these, because then it's going to get too crazy and then they're going to coil on each other. But I don't like shoving interactive notebooks in their desk, because then they get messed up and the coils get messed up faster, and then I feel like the pieces fall out faster because they're playing with them, and things fall out of them. So I had these stored on a cupboard in the back of my room, and once again it gave them the opportunity to get out of their seat, go get their materials before the lesson started. So during that transition time, instead of rummaging through their desks, they were going to get supplies from different spots in the area. So it made them get up and move. Where we know some of our students don't enjoy always doing our brain breaks and go noodle activities, this forced them to get out of their seat, have a little bit of movement, and go get their notebook. And I shouldn't say didn't let, but I tried to prevent other kids from getting them for everyone. So that way all the kids had to get up and get the notebook. If a kid was out at the restroom, I would have somebody else pass it out so that way it was done quickly. But that's a great way to use these kinds of things as well. I also used the cheaper, I should say, like cardboard book boxes from IKEA for my students, book boxes for the year for their quiet reading time, and I just put a piece of duct tape across the bottom of it so that way it would stay secure, and then they held up all year. I had the kids decorate them, and then I once again stored those on top of my bookcases. I had lots of space for storage though, so if you don't have the option to have all that shelf space, obviously you'll have to be a little more creative in where you have your students store their stuff. I've also seen the over the back of the chair book bags where you can have students store books like that as well if you don't have the opportunity to have all of the shelf storage space. Okay, and then the last thing people asked about was how to organize or balance their life. Obviously we are all teachers, and that is something we all struggle with. If someone tells you they have it all together, they probably don't. There's got to be something, because if you're working on something else, then you're not doing something else. Like for instance, I fed my kids dinner, and then I said, okay, I'm going to run upstairs and do this Facebook Live. So one of my kids is in the shower, and I need to go wash her hair. So there's always going to be a give and a take. So you need to figure out what is best for you in your stage of life right now, and how you can balance that with what's going on at school and in your home life. So one way that I do that, or try and organize that balance, I use a happy planner, and this is the one I have used for 2018. So this is my 2018 calendar. I am creating my school year planner over the summer, over the next few weeks. I did not buy a Happy Planner teacher planner, but I did buy some pieces of it. I really like the Happy Planner Punch, because the good thing about the Happy Planner and the disc is that you can add pages to it. So for me, to help balance my life, hey Rachel, I have like our budget spreadsheet, which is, you know, mom life and wife life, and adulting is hard, but I like to punch that into my calendar so I know I'm keeping track of what needs to be paid and how it's going and where my money is going. We work really hard for the money we get, and I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it feels like it's not very much money for how much work we are doing. So that's something that I find I need to balance and work into my schedule. I also like having having a planner, so that way I can write out the things my kids are doing, my kids' field trips, when I'm going on a field trip. My husband is also a teacher, so when he has field trips or he has overnight, because he teaches middle school, so sometimes he has to go on overnights, and he's a male teacher obviously, so sometimes he has to go on overnights with other grades because they don't have a male teacher in their grade. So it's a great way to do that. And I also meal plan during the school year. I'm not very good about it during the summer because things come up, and we plan, and I live in Arizona, so it's hot here, so we grill a lot or just don't eat a lot for dinner. I meal plan for a month. I know that sounds crazy, and you're probably thinking, how in the world do you do that? But I pick our favorites. I plan out the nights that I know we're not going to be home because we have practice, or we have back to school night, or parent-teacher conferences, or a music concert, or a XYZ, you know, all the other things that come up So that way I put those on my calendar so I know which nights we're not going to be home, and then I work around that. I know something we're talking about doing in the next few weeks or months is also talking about some of our favorite meals, so I can't wait to hear some of the things you guys like to do or like to have for dinner as well, because I know we are always looking for new meal ideas too. So I hope this has been helpful to you guys, showed you some tips and tricks on how to organize and what to organize and where to organize. How to use your plan, not how to use your planner, but why I use my planner and how I think that helps organize my life. Some days are way better than others, right? But thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have questions about the containers or where I got them, let me know and I can drop you guys some links. And if not, check back tomorrow for another live video, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday.